welcome back to the well, so yeah, you were here before, Dawn. So, but welcome to the first session of the Art of Letting Go course officially. So we're going to start off with a little breathing session. Do a bit of breath work, do a bit of letting go. So I'm going to just take you through some through some breathing. All right, so well, let's pick up where I left off in the masterclass. So remember the diaphragmatic breathing that I showed you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's go through that again. What you want to do in all this breathing is do nice, deep, rhythmical breaths in and out through your nose. Okay? So it's a deep breath in. Put your hand on your stomach. Notice how the air flows out. As the air flows in, the stomach pushes out. Yeah. Is that happening? So you breathe in. Put your hand on your stomach. Is the stomach pushing out?
Yeah.
That means the diaphragm's expanding, right? So the diaphragm sits at the base of the lungs. That pushes the stomach out. That's why it's also called belly breathing. And then as you exhale, again out through the nose, notice how the stomach naturally sucks back in, right? There's a sort of contraction of the stomach muscles. And then you breathe in. And exhale out. Okay. Just relax your shoulders. So try not to create any tension in your shoulders. It's like nice and loose and relaxed. You can close your eyes. Breathing in, nice deep breath in. And out through the nose. And then just naturally breathing in again. Notice how the stomach rises. Notice the subtle flow of air in through your nostrils. Brings you into the present moment when you notice these sensations. And then naturally you exhale. Notice how the air flows out of the nostrils. Subtle sensation in the nose. Notice the sensation in the area between your nose and your upper lip. And then you naturally breathe in again. And out. So you're just going to focus all your attention on breath. Don't bring 100% focus on the breath. You focus on the sensations of the breath, particularly on your nose. You was breathing through your nose, that's where the sensations are centered. And just focus all attention, and your attention becomes very, very focused on that area. And so you become very present. If there are any distracting thoughts, you start thinking about the past or the future, that's a distracting thought. Start thinking about what you've got to do after the session, tomorrow, distracting thought. Just bring it back. Bring your attention back to the present moment by focusing on the sensations of the breath. That's the idea. So you just keep doing that, and you find with each breath you're getting a little bit more relaxed, calming down. Feel it kind of sinking inwards. Sink into this inner state. That's just pure awareness. It's very peaceful, it's calm. If you notice anything coming up, sometimes we get resistance. You get thoughts about the past, about the future. You get an emotion coming up. It doesn't feel great. It could be irritation, anger, frustration, anxiety, fear, sadness, whatever it is. Just breathe into it. So take a nice deep breath in through the nose, breathing in. And you kind of embrace it. You welcome this in there. There's no attempt to push it away. Just say, okay, it's fine. I'm just noticing this. Imagine you breathing in some light. My name's Jonathan. Sorry about that. Wrong one. So you're just bringing in whatever it is, and you acknowledge it. What the inhale's about. And just become aware of whatever those thoughts and emotions are. I'm aware of the sensations that they cause in your body. Maybe there's contraction somewhere in your chest and your stomach, feeling tight there in your neck. Maybe there's pain, physical pain. But there's an awareness in you that can just be aware of it. And breathe into it again. Imagine that you're breathing in light. You can visualize white or golden light flowing into you as you inhale into every pore of your skin, every part of your body, particularly any part that feels negative, feels contracted, limited. And breathe this light in. If you don't visualize well, some people don't, including me, particularly well, so I just feel into it. What does it feel like? So it's a feeling of lightness. It's a feeling of openness, of expansiveness. Just feel into that. Breathe into that and allow this light energy feeling to go into that place that you feel is dark and negative, contracted. And you bring light into the darkness, then darkness disappears. That's what happens, because darkness is negative. Darkness is just an absence of light. It has no positive quality of its own. It's defined by the absence of what is positive, what does exist. So when you let go of darkness, then you allow the light back in. Truth is, the light was always there. The darkness just covered over the light. So when you let go of the darkness, what remains is the light. So exhale on the truth of that. Nice deep full exhale. Out through your mouth. Blowing it all out. The breeze of your breath. From the stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just rest here in relative peace and stillness. Also peaceful, a sense of relief and freedom feels. You can just spend a couple of minutes here breathing in and out through the nose. Feel like you're breathing light in. And out the light. Every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being is in the light. Breathing in that light into every pore, every cell, every muscle. Imagine the golden or white light fusing your entire body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. Any remaining darkness just can't sustain in the face of the light. So whenever that uncomfortable thought, feeling, emotion is, there's still a residual sitting there. Notice it and just exhale it out through your mouth. As you're blowing it out, a dark cloud or black smoke out through your mouth. Allow your stomach into the spine, spinal ostomy out. And just rest here. A couple of minutes in the stillness and the silence, resting in the light. You don't visualize light and just feel it. There's a light, expansive, open awareness. Nothing to do, nowhere else to go. Things to think about. Just breathe, relax, and be still in the light of your true awareness. Rest here, rest in God, it's called. Rest in God, you rest in peace that surpasses all understanding. Just allow that to be there. There's no resistance, no judgment of it. Nothing else to go, nothing else to do. Absolutely nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, be still, and surrender into the light of who you really are. Any thoughts come up that seemingly disturb you, seem to interrupt this light, block your flow, just be aware of them. Bring into them and those, noticing any of those thoughts, emotions, just as a feeling. That's all it is. It's just you isolate it down to a feeling, a sensation. Let it go with the breath. Exhale, just blowing it out, choosing to let it go, and it's going, gone. Lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out, and you're totally empty. Just Breath, you're just getting a bit deeper and deeper and deeper into the still, calm, the surrendered state, into the light. Light of the world, means light, your whole, complete, and perfect. Okay, so just gently coming back into an awareness of the body and the breath, senses in the world. On the count of three, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in. Noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pausing at the top of the inhale. Smile, scan your mind. Noticing any thoughts, emotions, related body sensations going on. Particularly anything that feels negative, limiting, contracted, constricting in any way. And just let it go. Blowing it away, using your breath. Nothing just it really is. It's going, gone. Just here, on the exhale, count of 2, and just the weight of your body pressing down into the chair. Feet touching the ground, noticing what you're feeling and touching. A little taste in your mouth. Smell in your nose. Noticing what you're hearing, surrounding environment, noticing all these things from this very still, calm, surrendered state of mind without judgment. Or a mind which only the truth is true. So anchor the state in, stay here. It's a very calm, peaceful, surrendered state. You can stay there for the rest of the day, rest of the evening. So on the count of 3, open your eyes. And then you're back. Just have a look around. And notice, Dawn, how different you feel compared with, say, 20 minutes ago when we started. So if you're looking around, it's in this very clear, calm, peaceful way. Notice your state of mind. Is it calmer? Is it clearer, quieter? Notice how you can just notice what you're seeing, what you're hearing, touching, feeling, tasting, smelling, but none of it really matters that much. There's just an awareness there that's very peaceful, very restful. This is what it means to rest in God. Or Apostle Paul called it pray without ceasing. Just stay in that very restful, peaceful state, which letting go and forgiveness reveals to you. Okay, so yeah, that was the meditation. How did that go?
Good. It was nice. I probably didn't want to come back. And
Good.
yeah, just I felt really comfortable and calm, and to the point at some point I thought I'd, just slipped off. And then I realized, no, I hadn't, but it'd be lovely. We're just in a peaceful kind of sleep, but you're not kind of, yeah, it was nice, very nice.
Yeah, so that's a little meditation practice which incorporates letting go. I think I sent this to you actually.
No.
Already. So you have the simple 2-step process, but it's incorporated into pretty much every meditation and breath break, I call it, that I send you. It's a simple idea of awareness, and you start with the breath, you breathe it in, and you're aware of whatever there's going on, and then with the breath, help of the breath, you let it go, and you restore your mind to a sense of peace. And the nasal breathing just really helps that because it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, so you naturally start to feel more peaceful and relaxed when you breathe through your nose. It's inevitable. So you just kind of use that basic physiological parasympathetic response to help you to go into a very, very peaceful state. And that's meditation in a nutshell. That's it. It's a very, very simple, direct way of meditating, getting into it's an altered state, just a much more peaceful, calm, relaxed state where your thoughts subside a bit. You find your thoughts, thinking mind just goes away a bit. Maybe some thoughts still came in. Did you still find thoughts coming in time to time?
No,
No.
that I think you were sort of talking as you were going through, and you were saying if you feel the tension or the light or what your thoughts and things, and I was thinking, I don't have any thoughts. It's just feeling quite nice. I think the most
Yeah.
thing I noticed was, although I had my eyes closed, I could still feel light, and then I could see different types of light, like there was some white light and some reddish light and purpley
Okay.
lights, but there was no tension, no kind of bad thoughts or good thoughts, no thoughts, just bits of light. Um,
Hmm.
so you kind of felt asleep, but daylight.
Hmm.
it was, yeah, it was nice and it was strange, but it was lovely, yeah. But I didn't have any,
Hmm.
no, you were saying figure if you got any sort of pains or anything in bits of your body, but I didn't have any of that. It was, yeah,
Hmm.
the only thing
Good.
was the light,
Yeah.
maybe the breathing, and that was it.
Hmm.
Oh,
So you said you struggle with meditation. It sounds like you're natural. It's great. Because
really? Because I always thought meditation was more than that. Sometimes things should come to you, or but no, I don't know.
mm,
It just felt really. It felt like it's something you can just do and continue.
yeah. Meditation is coming home to yourself. It's coming home to who you really are, and it's very peaceful. It's very comfortable.
It was.
That's, yeah. And all the blocks are, some people really struggle with thoughts. They're getting whole, they're sitting down and they're trying to just focus on their breath, and then, the mind goes crazy and they're thinking all kinds of thoughts, and it's really distracting, and, that can happen. So that's why I'm like, okay, so just be aware. Whatever the
I've had
thoughts
that
are,
before, I must admit. I have
you
had
know,
that, and they say, "Oh, it's the monkey brain or something." I don't know.
monkey mind, yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
have. I
What the
did.
monkey mind, Buddha. Hmm.
Yeah, I did.
So that can happen, and you might have days when that does happen. In which case, it's okay. You just need to look at it and release it. Let go of those thoughts. But if you can go into that nice, really peaceful, calm,
Mm,
relaxed state, feels really good. Then that's what meditation's about. It's just, okay, you're going in more into a state of mind that is you. That's where the true self resides, and that's the state of mind that it resides in that deeply peaceful state.
mm,
And that's all there is to it. It should feel very comfortable, very natural, very relaxing. So yeah, I could just hang out here forever. It'd be great.
yeah,
Because you go to heaven, you see, there's a little taste of heaven there.
yeah,
What is heaven is just a state of perfect peace, where
mm,
there's no thoughts that are going to disturb your peace at all. Call
mm,
it pure formless awareness of perfect love, where there's absolutely nothing to disturb your peace of mind. And so you go into meditation, you experience a little glimpse of that, okay, and then you don't stay there forever. You come out. Now we're talking again. You're in the world, but that glimpse is enough to remind you of what it is,
mm,
and that stays in your mind. You meditate, it does start to reset your mind and your physiology, your brain and your body into a different kind of pattern. It's much more relaxed. It's much calmer, much more peaceful. And if you keep doing it every day, you start resetting. So one of the most profound meditation combined with letting go, as we just did, right? So it's meditation in here, breath work. That's another very powerful modality. Combined with the letting go, combine all those things. It's enormously powerful as a spiritual practice to help you to just break free of whatever limitations you have, whatever blocks, and just find that peace. What you experienced there was the peace of God that surpasses all understanding.
mm,
Intellectual understanding is going to get you there, is it? I would think my way into that. It's actually just a letting go and an allowing of that natural state to arise. That state is always there. Do you understand? That's what I
mm,
said earlier. That peaceful, calm, relaxed state that you experience just now is always there. It's actually your default state. It's actually your natural state, but you've just covered it over, and now you've got other things going on in your mind that are just covering that over, preventing you from being aware of that
right.
to an extent.
Mm. Yeah, no, it was very nice. It was
There you go. There's the basic meditation practice. Very, very simple meditation of becoming aware and then choosing to let it go. And you can bring in some light. How did the visualization go? You said you got some light, kind of
yeah,
different color.
got different. I got some white lights.
Yeah.
Got some pink and kind of like purpley
Oh,
light,
okay.
and more white and just quite nice and almost like I don't know. You know when you're just cozy and you're in bed
Yeah.
asleep and you just think, right, I don't want to get up.
Yeah. 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 It's
I'm
just like this.
yeah.
This is home. You see, this is just coming home to like, oh, this is actually a really nice, happy, comfortable state. And why do I need to go anywhere? Why do I
That's right.
need
I was like,
to?
no. I think the thing that made me get up because when I looked and your voice stopped and then the realization came that my phone had given up. I'm like, oh no, I think I must have nodded off for a bit.
Mm,
I was
mm.
comfortable.
Yeah. So there's meditation, right? You never managed to do meditation before.
Usually,
Pro-
well, the few times I've tried before, I think, you're just there, but not really feeling like you've gone and or done anything, or
Hmm,
like you say, the things come into your mind. But I never had that today. It was different. It was really,
good.
I was almost thinking, oh gosh, have I nodded off? Am I?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
for it. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
funny. Yeah.
Great. So brilliant. There's a meditation. And what I do is I record everything, right? So there's a recording on the group right now. I've just sent it.
Mm.
And you can take that and you can download it.
Okay.
If that won't work for you, then yeah, you see. So if that this version of meditation works for you, you can do it whenever. I could just give you the file and I guide you through this process. And you'll find that in all the meditations I do, it's a very similar process.
Mm.
So the step one is awareness. Step two is a decision to let go of whatever that uncomfortable, negative feeling. I call it pain here.
Yeah.
Uh, it is that simple, really, but profound. If you become aware and you let go consistently, then what you will experience is what you experience, the peace of God.
Mm.
That surpasses understanding, and that's a glimpse of heaven. That's a very high state of mind.
Mm.
That level of peace. So, yeah, well done. It sounds like you could certainly meditate without a problem and get a lot of peace, a lot of benefit from it by
Mm.
doing it regularly.
Yeah. I think I like.
That's one of the yeah, that's one of the key practices that I recommend in the course. So let's have a look at briefly. I'm just going to go into your course manual. So there you go. So the day I knew peace was the day I let everything go.
Oh.
Let see joy while see. So that's the theme quote. So what I do in the program is every day there's a quote which has a message, and then generally that's the theme of the day in the quote, and then we explore that in the various teachings and mind training lessons, kind of the flow from the quote. So the day I knew peace was the day I let everything go. You're going to
Hmm.
start a letting course. That's the simple truth. When you let everything go, and what does everything mean? Well, that means all of your thoughts, emotions, attachments to this world is the day you know peace, this peace that surpasses all understanding, which you just got a glimpse of.
Yeah. I mean, that light looked a little bit like that. What you've got in the background there, you see the reddy bits and the white bits and the yellow.
Yeah,
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 with
uh,
bits of those
yeah,
through
yeah,
quite nice.
yeah. There you go. So, you just had a little mystic experience where you went within, you saw some light, you experienced peace, and that's just a taste of what you can have every day, and more so as you progress with it, you can go into deeper states of peace and even bliss, can come when you're willing to do the work and just keep practicing, keep doing it.
Mm.
And your peace was let everything go. So it's a very simple message. This isn't complicated, is it? But it's very, very profound. So there's our email for today. So this is you're going to get something like this every day. Today's obviously start, and so there's various kind of setup information. But let's just go through this, an introduction to course. What you've done really is it's made a commitment to
Mm.
transform your life in the next 6 weeks. It's a commitment to start listening to and honoring your true self. So you've become one of the chosen ones of this world, just by your own choosing. By choosing to do this, you're saying, okay, I choose to be one of these chosen ones who gets it, who wakes up. So you get many emails from me, and this one is just some preparation for the journey. So what I'll say is you're not going anywhere physically, but this is a journey, right? It's a transformational journey. So what you're going to be doing is taking a holiday from your usual routines, habits, patterns of behavior, ways of thinking, that will, if you apply yourself to learning the new ideas and practices you'll be exposed to, become a permanent transformation in your mindset and your life. So it's taking a holiday from these things, ideally a permanent holiday, by letting them all go. And that's your practice for the next 6 weeks. You just start letting go of these normal thought patterns, routines, habits, patterns of behavior that don't serve you anymore. So that's a bit like the caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. A part of you will have to die, right? The caterpillar has to die for the butterfly to be born. Both can't exist simultaneously.
Mhm.
The butterfly replaces the caterpillar. Um, so that caterpillar part of you is the ego part, which is really a separate self. So the idea of a separate self, your separate self concept. And it tells you constantly that happiness lies somewhere outside of you, keeps you seeking perpetually outside yourself for this elusive butterfly. So it says, go and chase this, go and do that, and then you'll be happy. And that's what most of the world believe. And when we fall hook, line, and sinker for the ego's lies, that happiness lies somewhere outside of you. But the truth is, as this quote says, maybe you want to read that. So I try and make this interactive by involving you in reading the quote. So read that quote, if you can.
Butterfly, when
Yeah.
pursued is always just beyond your grasp, but which, if you will sit down quietly, may come and alight on you. Yeah, that's true. That's exactly what it does.
Yeah. And that's exactly what you just experienced. So that's why we did a meditation. Okay, so you weren't striving for anything, you weren't trying to achieve anything, you just sat quietly, you breathed, you did some letting go of all expectations, you dropped all that, and then, oh, it arises, a nice, peaceful, happy state. There it is. You see why this is the truth. It's already there, you just got to uncover it.
Mm.
It's just about letting go of what covers it over, which is just a bunch of thoughts and emotions that aren't true. And then it's already there. And if you just sit quietly, you know how to do that, we call it meditation, then it comes.
Mm.
And you don't have to seek happiness out there. Happiness is already there. You just experienced it. And it's actually always accessible. Anytime you want, you can go into that state.
Mm.
It hasn't really gone anywhere. You may not be experiencing it fully now, but it's still there.
Yeah.
You haven't really lost it. So, okay, all I've got to do is get quiet and not allow anything to block it, not allow distractions and anything else to come in. Just allow that to arise.
Yeah.
And that's the key. That's that, there's two, as I said before, there's two modalities of growth. The one says, personal growth type mindset says, I'm not quite good enough as I am. I'm somewhat deficient. But if I learn and I grow and I improve and I learn this technique and I work really hard and I manifest certain things that I desire, then I'll be okay. Then I'll be a better person and then I'll be happy and more expanded version of myself. But it's coming from the premise that I'm somewhat deficient now,
Mm.
right? I don't really get it, and I've got to grow into that more functional person at some future point. And you see the trap in that. because it's
Yeah.
always in the future. And so when is enough enough? When do you ever get there? And the answer is you never get there. Because
Mm.
even when you get there, the goalposts move and the ego says, oh, no, no, that's not good enough now. Now you've got to get somewhere else.
Mm.
And so the Buddha noticed this 2,500 years ago. He said, this craving, constantly craving for something outside of you is the source of suffering. That's the second noble truth of Buddhism. This is why we suffer, because we're always craving and wanting something outside of us to make us happy, which means that we're in that moment denying that we're happy now. See, do you see the subtlety? The
Yeah.
more I say, oh, one day when I get this and this, I'll be happy, I'm saying, well, I'm not happy now. So I've got to keep seeking and trying various things and seeking outside of myself to find it. And that seeking and that desiring is a source of suffering, as the Buddha mentions, because then you suffer because you're not really happy. And the more you try, the more you actually move away from your true happiness because it's always already there. So
Yeah.
the second path of growth is to say, well, you are already that. Happiness is already there. Love is already there. Peace is already there. Joy is already there. Your true self is already happy, loving, peaceful, and joyful. There's nothing you actually have to do except let go of what you thought you were that is false. Let go of the false self-concept that covers all that over, and then what you truly are will reveal itself. And a practice like just sitting quietly like you did, doing a bit of letting go, that does it. And then you access that true self and it feels really comfortable and really peaceful. And you go, why would I want to go anywhere else? Well, why would you? It's a good question. If you could stay in that state forever, wouldn't that be a better choice than a lot of what goes on in this life?
Yeah.
Most of it. Just peaceful, happy, contented, no worries, no stress, nothing to worry about. Just, hey, I'm just really chilled, peaceful, and I could just stay there forever.
Mm.
And that's all that is being promised by all the great spiritual teachers and masters. They're saying, yeah, you could stay there forever if you chose to. All of this unhappiness and misery that the ego causes just isn't true. Actually, that's the truth. That, happy, peaceful state is the truth. And it just comes whenever you stop craving and desiring and just sit quietly and just allow it. It's so simple. In the Zen tradition, they call enlightenment a joke. Because when you get it, it's like, oh my goodness, it's so simple. There's really nothing to it, except that your mind tells you there is. There's a whole lot to it, apparently. And so it's by journeying through all that. I mean, think of the Buddha's journey. So, his journey. He left a very cushy life. He was a prince. He had everything money could buy at that point. He would have carried on, if he was the oldest, so he would have become the king. Had servants. He'd been set up in an arranged marriage, so he had a beautiful wife. He had a son. All his needs were met, yeah, on the material level. He didn't have to work. He had servants, enough food, just really cushy life. It didn't make him happy. He just realized I'm missing something. It's empty. And then he went outside the city walls for the first time when he was in his 20s, and he saw death and sickness and suffering, pain and misery. And he's like, whoa, hang on. I've been living this really, really sheltered, privileged life, and I just have no idea what's really going on in the so-called real world. And so began his journey. And then he was really determined. So 7 years of just about doing anything. He was really determined to get this awakening thing and wake up and become enlightened. But the more he tried, the harder he tried, the less he got it. Until eventually he almost killed himself because he was an ascetic, so he didn't eat. He was like living on 1 grain of rice for like a year or two.
Oh,
So he was
wow.
almost starving. Yeah, I know. It's, quite hectic what he did. And then finally, in that extreme, he sits under this tree and he gets it and he goes, actually, I'm already there and I don't need to do anything. It was always already there. And all of that craving and that striving was covering it over. I didn't understand because I kept telling myself that enlightenment is over there. It's in the next practice. It's in the next meditation. I'll get it one day. When? And then I'm denying that it's already here now. And then he got it. And he was like, oh, I get it. And then he called it the middle way. Okay, don't do the successive practice and all the stressing and straining and striving, because that's not going to get you anywhere. Actually, it's just about letting go of all that and realizing you're already there. You already are where you thought you weren't, and you already are where you sought to be.
Mm.
You already are that. But to realize that is the trick.
Yeah.
Uh, there's a journey often to get there, even though you're already there. That's the paradox of this stuff. Jesus had, similar experiences, about his fast. He went into the desert for 40 days. He had to overcome three major temptations of the devil, which is just the biblical name for the ego. It seems to control our minds. The devil said, well, turn these stones into bread. And that was the need for physical sustenance. And he said, no, actually, I live on spirit. I don't live by bread. This is a temptation of the ego, and he let it go.
Mhm.
Man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God. The devil took him to the holy city, had him stand on the highest point of the temple. You're the Son of God, he said, throw yourself down, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you, and they will. Now, this is all happening, not physically, in his mind, right? It's,
Yeah.
it's all happening internally, and he's having these thoughts, and uh, yeah, it's all happening in his mind, an internal experience. And he says it's also written, do not put the Lord your God to the test, again, the devil. So he lets this go. He says, I'm not going to do that, because actually it's just ego nonsense, just shenanigans. The ego trying to prove that it's somehow superior to this God, to my true awareness. Again, the devil took him to very high mountains, all again happening in meditation. Can you imagine, this desert for 40 days, doesn't have much food, he must have had some water, otherwise he couldn't have sustained himself. But maybe he was hallucinating and in very, very altered states, and so these visions come.
Mm.
And all this will I give you, said, if you will bow down and worship me. And Jesus said to him, away from me, Satan, for it is written, worship your Lord your God and serve him only. Now you could restate that and say, instead of worship, worship is to give value. Value only, if God is translated as love or pure formless awareness of perfect love in our alternative language. Value only this state of pure formless awareness of perfect love as your master, right? This is what you serve,
Mhm.
and you serve that only, not some external concept of God, but this awareness that you are. And the devil left, and the angels came and attended him. So he transcended the ego, and he found this deeper awareness, is what it says. The angels came and attended him. He went into a very high state of mind. He was probably in a deep peace and bliss, deep meditation, maybe even a samadhi type state, facilitated by his, the extremity of what he did. 40 days in the desert will do that to you. And then he came out, and he'd had this enlightenment experience, and he was ready for his ministry. So he was just letting go of the ego. That's all it is. He was tested by the ego, and he overcame it. Um, so what I'm going to recommend is that you, as one of your practices, you fast
Mhm.
1 24-hour period every week where you don't have any food. You don't have to do this, by the way, Dawn, but I recommend it because it's another practice that's going to help you to unlearn the ego. And then in between, 12 to 16 hours a day. Well, 12 hours isn't that big a deal. You just eat at night. You don't eat anything for the rest of the evening, and then you wake up in the morning. Say you had dinner at 7, you eat at 7, 8 o'clock, something like that. So then you've done 12 hours. If you push it a bit, say, okay, well, I'll just wait till lunchtime. And that'll be 16 hours.
Okay.
And then you're doing intermittent fasting. And the more you do this kind of stuff, the more you actually letting go of your normal pattern.
Mm.
Um, and what you're really doing is you're letting go of the ego's normal diet of thoughts, accusation, blame, complaint, other forms of judging yourself and others as less than perfect love. That's what you're really trying to abstain from the next 6 weeks, because that's the ABC of the ego's alphabet. It wants you to learn and practice diligently and faithfully in your life. But that causes suffering, doesn't it? When you're in that ABC of the ego, you suffer and you make others suffer. But your true or your Christ self, who remembers perfect love, doesn't want to suffer anymore. Or you wouldn't have signed up for this course, right? There's an awareness, okay, there's something else that's more than suffering in me. So your ego, so you're going to learn a lot more about it the next 6 weeks. So I've talked about it already a bit. It's a separate self-concept. It's a belief in who you think you are, but you aren't really that. And we'll go much more into detail of that, not just theoretically, but experientially over the next 6 weeks. I mean, it doesn't want you to go beyond its comfort zone of familiar suffering. We'll try to stop this transformation process from happening at every step. So what you've got to decide right now is that your comfort zone is not really comfortable at all, and you determine to go through the discomfort as it arises and be all in to this course. Okay? So you go, okay, whatever happens, that's fine. It's going to be uncomfortable, but it's okay, right? I'm all in. This is the process. So you mentally draw a circle in the sand, the desert, which is the space you've created in your life for the next 6 weeks. And you say, right, I'm in the circle. I'm not moving until I get it. And that actually was Jesus's resolution. He went into the desert and he said, I'm not coming out of here until I get it, until I've woken up
Mm.
and I understand. And he drew a circle in the sand and he sat until, he got it. But like the Buddha eventually just gets it internally. And then he's, okay, now I'm ready to come out because I actually get it and I understand the truth on a much deeper and more profound level than anyone else. And so I can teach. And then, then his ministry started.
Mm.
So just do that. Say, okay, I'm just gonna sit. I'm gonna go through this whole process. Don't leave it by abandoning the process, allowing yourself to be distracted by other things over the next 6 weeks. And there may be temptations. There always are, because the ego doesn't want you to do this, but it's this willingness that then sees you through them. You go, oh, okay, I can see what the ego is trying to do. It's trying to distract me, trying to kind of hijack the process and take me off track. But I'm going to sit in the circle and just allow whatever comes up to come up, as uncomfortable it is, and I'm going to practice letting it go. Simple as that. So then you become pretty robust, pretty invulnerable, because whatever the ego does and whatever it throws at you, you just face it. You sit in the circle and you say, I'm just going to let it go. And I'm not going to move out of this. I'm not going to allow myself to be drawn out of this into worldly distractions and thoughts and so on. You know? So the extent of your transformation over the next 6 weeks will be directly proportional to your willingness to do this. As with everything in your life, you'll get out of the course what you invest in it through focused attention, study, and practice of ideas and techniques. So if you don't bother and you don't practice any of it, well, obviously you're not going to get very much. This requires your time, your energy, your effort. The more you put in, the more you get out. That's how it works. So the first thing to do as your practice is to download and sign this love and commitment letter, which looks like this. So try to make it look like handwritten. So I put in your name, full name. So maybe read this actually, Dawn. That'd be good. Read this aloud with conviction. And you're going to write it as well and print it out and put it up somewhere where you can see it every day, preferably several times a day, to remind yourself, okay, this is my commitment.
Okay. Yep.
Okay? So read it aloud.
I'll read it now.
Yeah.
Okay. I commit to
I,
completing
your name.
Dawn, commit to completing the entire art of letting go course, no matter what happens in my life between now and then. I understand that genuine spiritual transformation can be a difficult and at times seemingly painful process. but I prefer the pain of growth to the pain of guilt, fear, anger, unworthiness, despair,
And anything else you want to add there?
and okay, and unhappiness in all its forms that I am now choosing to let go of to help me do this and thereby remember the loving self I really am. I commit to doing the following key spiritual practices every day until the 30th of March 2025. I meditate every morning for at least half an hour before I start the worldly business of the day using one of the guided letting go meditation tracks. I read.
I'm going to give you those. Yeah. So those are, I actually sent them to you in the Telegram message today, and in the email, there's links to download them. There's a 1 hour. So start with that, guided letting go, theta meditation. Every morning, you get up, even if it's an hour earlier, get up, do that. Just listen to the track. It guides you through the whole thing. It's a profound letting go process built in there. And you start rewiring. The more you do that, the more you're like, okay, I've spent my first hour of my day doing that. It sets you up for a different kind of day. So that's why that's just starts within your practices, because that's foundational. Okay, and then number two.
Telegraph. So I read the emails and or telegraph messages with course material that I get every day.
Okay, so I'm going to send you emails. They're going to look like this. You're getting my emails, right?
Yeah.
So the emails are this, and the Telegram messages look like this, obviously
Okay.
on your phone. There's the Telegram message for today. And it's repeated, right? So the email and the Telegram message are similar. There's just more detail in the email. It goes into more detail and contains more content. So and links and stuff. Telegram's the basics. And then you'll see here are the recordings of the session we just had. I've just sent them.
Okay.
So you can pick recordings on Telegram as well, right? You miss a session. You're only joining one live session a week. So you miss a session in the week. I'll post the recording there. I'll post, if we don't do a session that day, then I post recordings from a previous year. So there's always something to listen to. You go to the group and you'll get these recordings, which can take several hours, and you can just listen to that during the day, like while you're driving, while you're working, while you're cooking, while you're shopping. Put it on your phone, you put earpods, whatever, and you can listen, and you start immersing yourself in this teaching, and it starts to kind of sink in on a subconscious level.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's number two. Just make sure you read the messages.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're gonna number three.
I listen to the guided meditations and breathe.
Breath
Breath.
break. Yeah.
I'll receive via Telegram, and which I can also access via my daily emails as often as I can.
So
For
the more meditation you can do, the more you start rewiring your habitual thinking, the more you start going into that state of peace. It feels very comfortable, very happy. And the more you stay there, the more you want to stay there. And the more you start going, well, when something comes in that's not that counters that, then it becomes very obvious, right? That's not peace. That's not what I want. So I'm going to let that go and return my mind to peace. So it's kind of a reset button. Every time you meditate, you reset into that peaceful state, and you start establishing that state as your default, as your normal state of mind, the more you meditate. So that when you're walking around and you're doing the business of the world, you're in the world, as Jesus said, but not of the world. Thinking that way, you're in this very peaceful, calm state, because you've set your mind into that state, and the way you do that is primarily through meditation. I include letting go in a lot of these guided meditations and breath breaks. So you do the morning one, you read the message. Again, you can do this, just after your meditation, I would. And then the guided meditation and breath breaks, you can either do another meditation then, or you can do it later. Or if you've got to go and you're like, okay, I've done my hour, you can just top yourself up with the breath breaks
Okay.
during the course of the morning. So these are quite short. They're like maybe 3-4 minutes, five maybe maximum. And you can just listen to them. Again, I send it as a recording,
Mm.
so you'll get it on Telegram as a voice note and recording. It'll be 5-6 minutes, and I'll label it and I say, okay, it's a breath break. So you'll see here. So what I do is I label these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that you can then see what that is. So that's what I call an expression session, which we did.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to go listen to that first part of the session. There we go. Right? It's on the group, and you can see it. It's labeled, and you can listen to it.
Okay.
Um, and you'll get the guided meditations and breath breaks for every day on the group, and so you can listen to those during the day, especially if you're feeling a bit stressed, if you're feeling out of sorts, if you're feeling a bit disconnected, anxious, fearful, worried, anything like that, angry. Okay, it's time to reset. You just take some time out and you say, right, I'm gonna take a time out. I'm gonna reset myself by listening to a longer meditation if I don't have time. Even 5 minutes is going to help. I reset my state back into that peaceful state. And the more you do that, the more that peaceful state becomes your default. And every time you do that, you're saying, that's what I'm choosing, right? I'm choosing peace over the conflict and chaos of the ego.
Yeah.
And you do it in the practice of doing these meditations and the shorter breath breaks,
Okay.
daily, hourly. When as we get more into the program, this starts to become, ideally, you do an hourly practice. So you take a break, you do an hour of work, and then you take 5 minutes time out, which is a good practice anyway, and you do a breath break, and you carry on. You work for another hour, take 5 minutes, and you can integrate this into your working routine. In fact, it'll make you more productive and in your working routine, because you're clearer, you're sharper. The letting go sharpens the saw, as Stephen Covey calls it. Okay, and then number 4. So these are sort of foundational practices, really, establishing a solid practice of meditation, which then sets the tone for the day, and it's the base level, it's the foundation of this whole program, so that you start to experience more peace of mind,
Mm.
just day to day. If you're going to do meditation every day, I can guarantee you by the end of 6 weeks, you will be feeling more peaceful, more connected, and able to let go of the negativity more. Yeah, number 4. So I attend the live online meditation and discussion sessions. You want to read that?
Sunday. Every Sunday, sorry. And I am on time for and complete these sessions. Yeah.
So your commitment is, okay, every Sunday I'm going to join. That's the program you signed up for, and this is where it happens, right? The live calls are where interaction happens, are where we do the transformational processes that will come in the second part of the course. I guide you through those as well. A lot of the transformation happens real time in the sessions. If you miss the session, well, it doesn't happen.
Mm.
You listen to the recording, but it's not going to be the same, right? Recordings are never going to be the same as an interactive live session like this. Would you agree? If you were listening to this on a recording, it's nowhere near the same
No.
as live interactive talking to me, talking to other people. And then when we get into the processes that you're going to work through in the second part of the course, becomes even more, okay, this is your process. I'm taking you through a very personal process. It's about looking at your own stuff and letting it go. And that's priceless. You can't really duplicate that on a recording. You have to be fully engaged and interacting. So showing up is the start. If you show up, then that process happens. You're saying, I'm up for it. I'm coming into this field of transformation that happens in these Zoom rooms, in the Zoom calls, and I'm open for it. Whatever happens, that's what's meant to happen. I'm going to show up. right?
Yeah.
Showing up is like 50% of it. Just show up. Show up being willing and it'll happen. It's
Mm.
that simple, actually. But a lot of people don't show up, because there's resistance.
All right.
Okay,
I read
and then number 5, I read
the daily ACIM
yeah.
work
The
less.
ACIM stands for a Course in Miracles,
Okay.
daily
Uh,
work.
lessons and the recommended section of the text every day. Okay. So I'll have to get that
So
one.
it's a daily practice, right? It's a short, the workbook lesson
Mm.
is pretty short, sweet, it's to the
Okay.
point. It's not a lot to read. These are a bit longer, but again, it's maybe a couple of pages, 2, 3 pages. That's the text. So it's not massive amounts of reading, but just make sure you do it because that's starting to learn this new thought system. And the lessons kind of are the practice of the text. So to
Mm.
really get the text, you need to practice the lessons, which are more experiential, practical. And what I've done is the breath breaks and the meditations are how you practice the lesson. So if you
Okay.
just listen to those, go through the process I guide you through, then you're practicing the lesson. You can read it as well. I would recommend you read it, but to
Yeah.
practice it, put on a recording. And you can practice it in a few minutes, or you can practice it in a longer time. If you have it, these are generally 15 to 20 minutes. And I'd recommend doing at least one of these in the day, ideally two, as well as topping yourself up with frequent rest breaks to practice these these really profound lessons. And the more you practice, the more you start getting it. You're like, okay, I'm starting to understand these ideas. I'm starting to apply them, and they're making sense, and I'm seeing the benefits. And that's when the course becomes experiential. It's not just me telling you. It's like, okay, I'm actually experiencing this in my own experience, and that's when it becomes very powerful. And but you have to commit. You have to do the practices, otherwise you don't get the experience.
Okay.
So a bit of discipline, and amazing what can come from just a little bit of willingness and discipline. Okay, so do that every day. Again, I make it really easy. So everything's presented in your email. You go down here, okay, this is the welcome email, but there is the introduction to the text. There you go. There's the preface, right? Click on that. It's going to open it up and you can read it. Yeah.
Oh,
And I give you the alternative versions of it as well. So it's not on that link. I should probably fix that next time. But here's the alternative version. There's the preface, and there's an alternative version of most of the paragraphs where it needs translation. And I give an alternative version so you can read in the original and the alternative and study it. So this is the reading for today. If you haven't done it today, it's okay. Just catch it up tomorrow.
oh,
Do it
okay.
tomorrow. Yeah. Just so if you fall out, no one does the program perfectly because there's no such thing.
Mm.
But if you do it, then just go, oh, okay, that's fine. I'll just catch it up tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow.
All right.
And do the best, just do the best you can uh, to do these key practices. And again, if you don't do one of them in a day, that's, it's like don't beat yourself up. That's pointless.
Mm.
Uh, it's just about saying, okay, well, I did the best I could, and tomorrow I'll go again. Tomorrow I'll try and stick to this
Okay.
as best I can. And even if you end up doing 50% or even 20% or 30%
Mm.
of this, it's a lot more than you would have done, right?
Yeah, but yeah,
So
it's
so
do it properly though. We,
yeah, the more you stick to it, the more benefits you're going to get, but don't get obsessive about it. That's what I'm
no,
saying. It's like, okay, well,
do what we can.
if life comes up and you're busy and other things happen, it's okay. Then you got to let go of that.
Mm.
Don't punish yourself. Oh, I'm such a bad person. I'm a terrible student. Oh, then the ego says, just give up the whole course. You're never going to get this. You haven't done it right. You're on day 3 and you screwed it up already. You loser. Give it up already. It's not going to
Mm.
happen.
Mm.
And that's just self-sabotaging because it doesn't want you to do any of this because all of this is designed to undo the ego. Of course, it's trying to protect
Actually,
itself.
when you're saying that, it reminds me of when I started to go to church when I was, and there was
Hmm.
loads of people when I joined, loads. And then they all
Mm.
slowly, oh, I got a headache, oh, I'm not well, oh, and
Mm.
there were challenges. And like you say, the ego will give you all those challenges, but they all just let it, and I just thought, well, I'm late. I'm not getting everything, but I'm gonna just keep doing it. I'm just gonna, and it was really challenging. But I realized, like, I'm the only one who sort of went at that time who is still there, but the
Yeah.
were huge and still are. I've just grown so much. So that's like,
Yeah.
I do understand what you're saying there. Can you?
It's the power of persistent effort, persistent effort in the right direction, willingness, perseverance.
Yeah, you just
Uh,
keep trying. Do
these are cliches almost, there's all kinds of messages about the power of persistence. Calvin Coolidge, I mean, this is a lovely message.
the.
Calvin Coolidge on persistence. Great quote, and it can become a bit of a cliche, uh, image there will be better. So, power of persistence, right? So read that.
Mm. Nothing in the world can take that's of persistence. Oh,
Yeah, read it aloud. It's always good if
oh,
you read it aloud. It becomes an affirmation when you read it aloud. Yeah.
talents. I think I know this one. I've heard it before. Talents will not. Oh, will not. Nothing is more common than unusual, unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not unreward. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated dialects. I can't.
Derelicts.
Derelicts.
Derelict.
Uh,
Someone who's just kind
and determination.
of
Oh,
derelict.
omnipotent. Oh, can't say.
Yeah. Omnip.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
1872 to 1933. Mm,
It's a very commonly quoted quote.
yeah,
Um, but it's a cliche, but it's true.
yeah, yeah.
It's like if you persist at anything and you just stick and you plod at it,
Mm,
you will make progress. If it's a worthwhile direction, you have to start succeeding. And the people who don't are the people who give up and they quit and they say, no, it's too hard, it's too difficult. I'll try to find an easier way. So if you can just stick at this and you
mm,
keep doing this for 6 weeks, and then after 6 weeks you might go, well, why would I want to stop after 6 weeks? I'm making progress here.
mm,
I've designed a program that's a year, and then after a year you carry on and you do the next year. It's designed for that because it becomes a way of life. Okay, this is the way I choose to live my life, rather than it's just a 6 week course, and then what? Too many programs are like, well, then what? Yeah, exactly. 6 weeks and then you dropped, and then what? You just go back to how you were. There's no further work, no further support. I mean, crazy. Of course you need that. So you just carry on, and I think you got the right mindset from what you've said and you shared with me. You got the right mindset. It's just persistent, stick at it, and then you make progress. Uh,
mm.
a lot of progress. You just keep work.
So I reflect on
Okay, so then, yeah, number 6.
I reflect on the day before I go to sleep. That one's a hard one. I've tried to do that before using the end of day. What's that?
Mhm.
Reflect question
Reflection question in the
and
process
process
of
I've
living.
been given.
Mm.
Okay, well,
Mhm. I'll tell you. So I put it here, but I include it in the emails. Every email will have this. So here are the questions, right? Simple questions, 4 simple questions. How could I have handled this situation better? So if there's any difficult situation in the day, there quite often are. You go, okay, so how could I have handled that
situation.
uh, situation better? It's a good question, and usually you go, okay,
Did I learn to
yeah,
do?
I could have said something different. I could have been calmer. Could have been, more aware. So what did I learn? It kind of leads from the first, right? What did I learn about? Okay, well, I learned maybe that I shouldn't lose my cool. I learned that actually I should have let go more. I shouldn't allow these things to get under my skin. I need to practice, this letting go, more diligently. I was too, and I know that applies. Doesn't matter where you are. Like, so I'll give you an example of my letting go. Last week, my son played football and he was out of position, wasn't playing very well, and so I'm like, come on, I'm trying to encourage him, but that wasn't actually what was helpful. He found it very stressful. And so I'm like, okay, well, I accept it. That wasn't what was really required. Made a mistake. So what did I learn? How can I grow from that? So then today I went to football and I didn't say a word, except well done. We did something well, I've done well done, but nothing else. And he was like, okay, that's fine. Then no issue. Well, if you're not open to learning, then you can't change your behavior, can you? Then I would still be shouting my head off on the side, and
Mm.
that's not appropriate. It wasn't helpful. So, we have to be able to learn from our mistakes. Otherwise, you can't progress.
Yeah.
So what this does at the end of every day is you say, okay, so let me learn what I can from the day, rather than these lessons going unlearned, and I just stay stuck because I don't ask these questions. Just, okay, if I made a mistake, let me recognize that and learn what I can from it so that I don't have to make the same mistake again. Seems
Hmm.
obvious, but many people don't do this. So they get stuck in a rut and just make the same mistakes over and over again. They never change.
Yeah.
How does that learning serve me? Okay, so I learned something. How does it really serve me? Okay, well, it serves me because in my instance, that wasn't a very functional behavior. It didn't spread love and happiness. I thought it did at the time, but I was wrong. This is going to serve me because my relationship with my son's going to be better. The family dynamic's going to be better. He'll end up playing better. And all in all, it's more relaxed, more happier experience for everyone. So it serves me.
Hmm.
And what am I grateful for? I'm grateful for the lesson. And I'm grateful for the fact that I could learn that. And that you have the awareness and these kinds of teachings and techniques to help you to learn that, and so that you can become a better, more true to yourself. That's what I mean by better. More true to yourself, and just let go of all that stuff that doesn't work for you. And so if you spend a minute or two on each question, that might take you 5, maybe 10 minutes, depending on how long you spend.
Mm.
And again, don't hang up on it. Just like, okay, you process something, and then you move on naturally. You find your rhythm with it. And I give you a recording as well,
Okay.
uh, to work with. So you can listen to the recording and guide you through it, or you can just read the questions. And it's a simple practice, but it's also a very simple practice not to do. Very easy, just okay, I'm just going to go to sleep, lights out, and I don't do any of this before bed. So, like, have I learned anything? Have I grown? A lot of people, even worse, they're on their phone, they're watching videos, they're watching TV, all this rubbish coming in, and then, oh, okay, well, now I'm tired, or they fall asleep while the TV's on, even worse.
Hmm.
Now your mind's being programmed with all this rubbish subconsciously while you're sleeping. So the right kind of practice is no digital devices, cut all that off, at least an hour before bed, and just start winding down. And then you just have a bit of contemplation. In the Christian tradition, they call it contemplatio. Contemplation, okay, reflection. It's a form of meditation. Just consider, these questions, self-inquiry, and the more you do this, the more you start to learn and grow and improve.
Hmm.
And you don't get stuck in ruts because the questions don't allow you to. If you keep asking these questions, you've got to move forward and you've got to learn, and
Hmm.
you will change. If you really learn, then you have to change your thoughts, your emotions, and your behavior.
Hmm.
So simple questions, but very, very powerful. Just these questions alone, asking these and answering every day can change your life. Just this one practice.
Okay.
Okay, so there we are. And then and talk about the experiences. So if any other course participants share anything, the discussion sessions, then just don't talk about them to anyone else. In your case, you're doing this kind of solo, so not much of a consideration, but there will be other people in the sessions. And best just to go, okay, I'll keep it to myself. I'm not going to gossip. Like the last thing you want to do is, go to someone, a friend, say, oh, you never believe it. I've been in a session and this person talked about this and no, but it doesn't sound like you do that anyway.
No,
It's not the right vibe.
no.
Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, just read 7 and 8.
Okay. I I don't group about. Oh, is that the same thing? I don't gossip about anyone and keep my focus on learning from my own experience rather than what trying to fix, help, or improve other people and the world. That's apparently outside me. Yeah, but I get that one. I've heard people do
Yeah.
that. In fact, someone were doing that today, and I was just like, we're not here for that.
Yeah.
We need to just move to another
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah, that,
And one of the biggest defenses that people have, against their own um awakening is, oh, I'm going to try and fix someone else.
yeah,
It's not
that's
about me, it's about them. They need to change. Yeah, okay. So now my focus is on someone else. I've just had that situation personally with a family member. And I'm like, well, stop trying to fix me. Look at just look in the mirror. Look at yourself. That's all
exactly.
it's about.
It's about your journey, not anyone else's. Because
Yeah.
we went,
So you're in your own journey for 6 weeks. Don't try and fix, help, or improve anyone else. That may
yeah,
come in time when your purpose reveals itself. But for now, this is like, okay, it's my process. It's my retreat. Think of Jesus as our example, right?
yeah,
Was he trying to fix, help, or improve anyone else in his 40-day fast and meditation in the desert? He wasn't. It
yeah, he
was
did.
his own process he was going through, right? That's all he was doing
Mm,
for that 40. And that prepared him for his ministry, where he's like, okay, now I can go out, having had this awakening experience. Now I can go out into the world and I
yeah,
can actually help people very profoundly. And I can help and heal and bless. But I needed to do that work first, that internal work first.
mm,
Otherwise, he wouldn't have been the Christ and he wouldn't have uh, been able to help people in the same way.
yeah.
So that's what this six week course is about. Go within, find yourself, and then this was just, don't talk about the experiences of other course participants to anyone else because it's not appropriate. It's what happens here.
Oh,
It's a safe space.
I don't like that. I don't get caught into that.
Yeah, well, it's gossip, isn't it?
Pull
So
me
it's
into
just
the,
about
and that's
about having a kind of code of conduct, and if
like,
everyone
I,
abides by it, then everyone feels safe.
I don't
And
want to.
then it's all it's all part of the golden rule. So number 9, which you're probably well familiar with, but read it anyway.
Oh, the golden. Oh, yeah, number 9. I abide by the golden rules. I think, feel, and behave towards other people as I would like them to think, feel, and behave towards me in all my interactions. That's a good one, yeah. But you have to
Yeah, it
be
was
careful because not everyone
the
is
foundation
that and
foundation
still
of
want to do
of
that.
of, of a what would be called a Christian life, or any
Yeah,
religion. They will say it's do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I mean, it's obviously you're not gonna, if you're hurting and
yeah,
attacking and other
no.
people, then how can you
And you
expect
try,
to be
there's
peaceful yourself?
all different aspects around that, unfortunately. Some of us think that and some of us no. But yeah, but I can see you can't really put it down
Yeah,
on.
the majority of people don't abide by this rule.
That's
If
right.
everyone did, the world would work wonderfully. But the
No,
majority of people don't, because the separate self says, I can't think, feel, and behave towards other people as I would like them to think, feel, and behave towards me, because I don't see them as the same.
mm,
They're someone separate, they're different from me, they're my enemy. So I think and feel and behave towards them how I want because
mm,
they're my enemy, and I don't see it that way.
no,
And then all the unkind and sometimes violent and brutal acts that human beings do to each other because they violate the golden rule.
yeah, yeah,
If no one violated the golden rule, then life would be very happy and peaceful in this world.
mm,
So it's a major, I mean, simple, but it's an absolutely major, undertaking. And how do you abide by the golden rule? Well, you got to practice letting go. Yeah, and it comes down to that one. If you can't let go, and you're filled with anger and rage and upset and fear. And well, there's no way you're going to be able to abide by this rule, is there?
mm,
No way. Your emotions take over, and then you end up doing unkind, unloving things, behaving in that way to other people, which is hurtful. And you
yeah,
can't help yourself in that state because,
yeah.
those emotions
And
press
the
out.
go, it actually does you more damage than it does, if you don't forgive, you're actually damaging yourself more than the other person anyway.
Yeah.
Because it
And, that's the simple
carries
truth that we learn. You're
things,
attacking yourself.
yeah. So it's
So
like,
once you do that, you really understand that whoever is outside of you is actually you, and they're
mm,
just a projection of your mind. Then why would you do it? You wouldn't. You'd just go, no, the only sensible, only sane way to behave is according to the golden rule. Right? And what Jesus said, love your neighbor. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul. But the caveat is you also have to love your neighbor as
mm,
yourself. So I had a situation. I was a tenant of a lady. She was religious, went to church, etc. So she's going, well, I honor God and God's everything and da 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 da. But then she's treating me really badly. So I go, well, hang on, what's this about? Jesus said, love thy neighbor, not just love your Lord your God. She says, no, you're not my neighbor. You're not, I don't, it's like you don't get it then, do you?
no,
It's very easy to go conceptually. Love the Lord your God. Okay, well, some kind of concept of God. But then she's got all this separation and anger and hatred towards me. Well, then you're not loving God because God is love. You have no idea what love is. Your love is blocked because actually you're not loving your neighbor. You're not loving me. And everyone's the same. And she's like, no, no, you're someone separate and different. You don't deserve my love. And that is the essence of all
mm,
unkind behavior, all attack, all violence. That's the thing. Oh, no, 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 not you. I'll make an exception. You're my enemy, and so now I can behave towards you like however my ego thinks. And the golden rule doesn't apply. And so you make an exception. And the idea is there no exceptions. You can't make exception. One exception to the golden rule, and you're back in the ego. And love is denied.
mm,
And what you're saying is love doesn't exist anymore, and actually fear and anger and hatred and attack are the replacement, and that's what you believe in.
mm.
Okay, and then the last one. I watch my thoughts.
Emotions, words, and behaviors like a hand
A hawk.
walk, sorry. And I don't judge or condemn myself or anyone else when I notice that I've made a mistake. Oh, because we all make mistakes.
Yeah, and that's again a very simple idea, a very simple practice. But to do it, I mean, that's going to require a lot of vigilance, right? I've got to watch it like a hawk.
Mm,
Okay, so the hawk is typically like predatory and it's trying to kill things, but now you're taking awareness and you're saying, no, I'm just going to take that awareness and instead of projecting it out onto others and being so critical and judgmental, condemning them, like, or, attacking, I'm going to watch internally. Like, I'm going to go, okay, I'm watching for those thoughts and emotions. And if anything like that comes up, I spot it and I choose to let it go because I know that's not helpful.
mm,
If I attack and judge and condemn other people, I'm just doing it to myself.
yeah.
Well, that's not very smart because then I don't feel very good. In the moment I condemn anyone, I feel that I'm condemning myself because I'm disconnecting myself from love. In that moment, I'm condemning myself to be this limited, separate self who thinks that they're separate, who thinks that judgment is justified, and now I can judge and condemn and attack others, and that's somehow going to work to make me feel better. But I've
Mm,
just condemned myself to being separated from love in that moment. You see why all condemnation is self-condemnation. All attack is self-attack. Because in the moment you experience that disconnection from your source.
yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah.
It is, but this is the practice, right?
Mm,
Watch like a
it's-
hawk.
yeah,
Because if you
yeah,
can't watch, if you're not aware, then how can you let it go, right?
that's right.
Without awareness, you can't make a choice to let it go. If it just happens and the ego takes you and you go into judgment and condemnation and there's no awareness and you're just doing it unconsciously, then
Mm,
how can you change it? There's no awareness that says, hang on, this is not correct. this isn't who I am. I need to let this go.
Mm.
And then you're lost in the ego. And we see the consequences of that lost in, all of the unkind, unloving behavior in the world.
Yeah.
The world is filled with prisoners and convicts and people who, in terrible situations in their life, and they abuse themselves and others because of this, because they don't know how to watch their thoughts and emotions and
Mm.
then let go of the ones that aren't helpful. They haven't got that emotional control.
Mhm.
And it takes, this will take everything you have just to do 9 and 10. That's like
Yeah.
that's spiritual enlightenment. If you can do 9 and 10 really well, you're enlightened.
Mm. Yeah, no, and those are hard ones, but you
Yeah.
can,
So
because sometimes
yeah, it's possible.
um, there's
You just
advice.
got to commit, and you got to say, right, I'm holding myself with these commitments to a much higher standard than I've ever held myself to. I'm
Mm.
going to do these practices, and I'm going to commit to this. And I want you to first of all finish reading it, and then you're gonna tonight print it out and sign it and put it
Mm.
somewhere where you can see it.
Okay.
Obviously, next 6 weeks. So just read the last bit, the last paragraph.
I'm all in to mastering the art of letting go and experiencing authentic happiness, fulfilling flow, higher purpose, educate, can't see, well-being, educate,
Ecstatic well-being. Yeah.
oh, ecstatic well-being and true success as my new normal way of being and loving from this moment on. I commit to making the most of this life changing opportunity, and I am very grateful for this new beginning. And then sign my name and date.
Yeah, you sign and date it, right? So you said it, you sign it, you commit to it, and it's all about commitment. You're saying, okay, you know what, I'm all into this. I'm going to commit. Because if you're wishy-washy about this stuff, it's never going to work. It's never going to happen.
Yeah,
I
got it.
watch my thoughts, emotions, words, and behaviors like a hawk. Yeah, yeah, that sounds great. And then tomorrow comes, and then I get a challenge, and then I forget all about it. And then I'm like, oh, no, no, it's too hard. It's too difficult. I'll just go back to the same old pattern, where, it's easy. It's easier in a way because you don't have to exert that level of discipline, but it's painful. It's hard because there's no hope in that. If you keep judging and condemning
To
and
take
attacking
carry
everyone,
it
blaming
with
everyone, there's no hope in that. There's nothing there's no positive energy. There's no hope. It's just negative, and it's a life of despair and misery that
mm,
you condemn yourself to. Who's doing that to you? You're doing it to yourself. That's the
mm,
truth of it. No one else. You can't say, "Oh, but everyone is terrible to me and everyone is unkind to me, and therefore I can't help it. I'm going to just judge and condemn them."
mm,
No, it's you who choosing to judge and condemn them, no matter what they've done to you. You've still got to make a choice and say, "Yeah, I'm going to choose to do this rather than to let it go and be loving instead."
mm,
So again, very simple. This isn't difficult. It isn't complicated. But to actually practice this and live this way is a challenge, no
yeah,
doubt. It's like,
definitely.
and that's why we practice. You gotta practice, you gotta learn, and you get better at doing this, better at living this way through practice. And that's what your spiritual practice is.
Mhm,
That's why it's called practice, right? You practice and practice because the more you practice, the better you get.
mm,
There's a great Zen saying, it says, enlightenment's an accident, but the more you do spiritual practice, the more accident prone you get, the more likely it is to happen when you practice.
mhm,
Just like anything else in life, you're not going to become a great footballer or a concert pianist or anything if you don't practice.
yeah.
You just sit at home and go, oh, no, I really like to be like a professional footballer, but you don't go out on the football pitch and practice every day. Well, it's not going to happen, is it? No matter how
No,
good you could be, your potential will never be realized because you didn't practice. It's the same with spirituality. If you don't practice, you'll never realize that potential. And
yeah,
it just remains a wish. And there are many people like that. Oh, I wish oh, I want to be spiritual, but I don't want to do the work.
Mm.
Okay, well then what you're saying is you don't really want it enough.
That's right. 'Cause
You,
you have
you don't
to do
really want it. You're just kidding yourself. It's all fake. You don't really want it enough to actually do the work. So when you're serious, then then you'll do it. And until then you won't. So then the question is, how much do you need to suffer before you get serious?
mm,
How much suffering is required before you'll say, okay, I have to find another way,
mm,
because I can't carry on like this. That's when people really change. Because the pain's too much. It's too great. I'm either going to kill myself or I have to change something. And that's when transformation really starts.
mm, yeah.
Or you could do it, if you're on the way of mastery, the path of mastery, as I talked about on Wednesday, you can say, okay, so I don't have to be in enormous pain. I just have this willingness and this desire to do it. Yeah, there's issues in my life. It's not everything's hunky-dory, obviously, but I'm not like desperate. But I know in my heart that this is the right thing to do, and I'm going to commit to it because I know it's correct and right, and I'll do it properly, and I'll commit to doing it.
Yeah.
And that's what this love and commitment letter is all about. It's a love letter to yourself, really, saying,
Hmm.
I honor myself, and I'm gonna give myself this experience for 6 weeks because I deserve it and I want it, and I'll do these practices because if I do them, I'm gonna get so much more out of the course than if I don't.
Yeah.
If you don't do any of these things, then I can't really help you. You might as well quit it now and say, okay, well, just pack it in and carry
Well,
on with your
I
life.
try
Because
it. I'm going to, otherwise I won't be here to do it. That's,
Yeah, and then you just wasted your time and your money, and it's pointless.
yeah.
And I can fix your life for you, but I can guide you in a process to
Mm,
have your own realizations, and then you'll be able to do it for yourself.
yeah.
And that's the purpose. It's very, about self-empowerment.
Mm,
I'm just here as a guide, but you have to be willing. I can tell you to do all this stuff as long as till the cows come home. If you don't do it, then
well, yeah,
you don't have the experience.
the whole point, isn't it?
Yeah,
We're gonna try,
it's like.
we're gonna do. We're not even gonna try. We're
Like
gonna.
taking a course at university, and saying, oh, well, I really want to get the course, I really want to get the degree, but I don't really want to study. It's like, well, it doesn't work that way. You've got to do the study. You've got to go to the lectures. You've got to do the work. And
Mm,
then you learn. And then, okay, then at the end of it, you've earned your degree or diploma or whatever it is because you've done the work, right? But
mm,
you have to study. I think we all understand that on that level. I mean, no one would go, "Oh, I'm going to university, but I don't expect to have to do any work and study." That would be ridiculous.
mm,
We understand that in that context, but spirituality is somehow different. Say, "Oh, okay, no, it's all just got to kind of happen." No,
well,
it's probably the hardest work you'll ever do.
I work with students at university, and you know, like support academics, and I don't have degrees and things, but I'd say learning about your spiritual side is probably one of the most important things that you can do, because that's
But
what's going to help you to.
period, it is the thing. It's
That's
the
right.
the thing. It's
Without
the
this,
one thing.
you're going to find it
Without this,
really
you're missing.
hard to achieve the.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
once you know this and you know who you are and what you should be doing, the other stuff comes a bit easier.
yeah, very much so. And if you don't even know who you are, I mean, think about, our education systems. Okay, go study all this knowledge and you study this discipline, you study this. But who is studying? They never
That's
question. They say, so who's the one who's studying it?
just,
And why are you studying it?
yeah,
Like, what
yeah,
is the consciousness or the awareness that is actually able to even study this and even learn this information? And they never even consider that. So who
mm,
is studying? Who is looking? That's a question that they don't answer, right?
yeah,
But this is what spirituality is like. Okay, so who is it that's studying and that's wanting to study and wanting to learn this, and why? Why do I want to learn this
mm,
material? Well, what do I think it's going to do for me? These are the sort of more profound questions and more difficult to
mm.
ask and answer
And
because maybe you
that's
don't
been
want to study. Maybe
asked.
there's no point in it.
Well, why have you come? What do you want to do? And what is the end goal? What for you? what's the
Yeah.
purpose of you doing the course?
But you see, if you don't even know who you are, how can you answer those questions?
That's right.
You can't.
No,
You don't even know who you are. So then, by definition, you're confused from the start. You
exactly.
think you're something you're not. And then, every decision you make is going to be wrong because you didn't know who you were to start with.
Yeah.
So it's fundamentally then a false premise, and many people live their lives on that false premise. Okay, well, I think I'm this, and so now that false self says, I've got to go and do this and this and this, and I've got to climb the corporate ladder, or I've got to go and succeed in whatever industry I decide, and I've got to do and they work it all out in this false self, but they don't even know who they are. So
Yeah.
all of that is predicated on a false self.
And that's
And
why
then
the spiritual
at
side is
some point, they're
important.
struggling.
Without the strength of knowing who you are, why you're here, what you came for, what you want to do, it's very hard to then choose something and know those. Once you're committed and you know who you are and what you're here for and what you want to do,
Yeah,
then you can go
yeah.
with strength. But
And that's why so many people, if you said, what's your purpose? You went and asked 100 people randomly on the street. So you went into London tomorrow and you said, okay, I'm doing a little survey. What's your purpose? What's your higher purpose? How many people would go, I get it. I know.
no, I don't
Very
know.
few. They go,
Yeah.
well, I'm not quite sure, or oh, I think it's this, but I'm still searching for it. Or if you
Mm,
get a whole bunch of different answers. Very few people are like, yeah, no, I know.
mm,
I know what my purpose is. I'm on that purpose. I live on purpose because I'm clear. Because I have to be clear about who I am to know why I'm here.
mm.
The,
Uh,
the, you know,
I'm
it's,
gonna
uh,
be
it's two
doing.
sides of the same point.
Yeah, yeah.
So
This.
we'll address all of it, as we get into the course more towards the end of it. We go into higher purpose, but first it's you got to let go of what you're not. You got to start unlearning all of that, that
Okay.
false self. It covers it over. And the way you do it is spiritual practice. And that's
Mm,
that's where the learning happens. So you do the practices, you learn. You don't do the practices,
you
you don't
don't.
learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's like you do it, you don't do it. I
Mm,
can't do it for you. You got to do it for yourself.
mm,
I can I'm trying to make it easy. That's what the Art of Letting Go course does. It says, okay, here's all the stuff on a plate. I present it to you. It's a nice, disciplined, structured program that allows you to do this more easily than on your own. There's a methodology to this, there's a system to it. Follow the process, follow the system. You're likely to get a better result than if you did it on your own because you wouldn't necessarily know how to do
no.
it.
And just being able to sort of say, oh, I didn't go on Telegram before, and I'm not sure where the thing is. And, having someone help you do that is like great because that steps forwards to do something that
Yeah,
you need to do because
yeah,
it's just breaking down
exactly.
barriers. So, yeah,
Yeah, each
I
little
won't.
each little thing is like, oh, I learned something more, and you're
Very,
going out of your comfort zone. So what I'll talk about here, very briefly, and then we probably need to end the session at some point, getting quite late. But let's just talk about the hero's journey briefly. So we'll go into this in more detail during the course. But this is a something that a guy called Joseph Campbell came across. Have you heard of the hero's journey?
I've heard of it, but I've never like interacted
Yeah.
with it, and that's what I was wondering.
Yeah. It's very profound. Yeah. So this guy, Joseph Campbell, is an American writer. He's a professor of literature who read extensively. He read apparently at one point like 9 hours a day, literally
Well,
straight. Tremendously well read, and he looked at all the different myths and legends, many seemingly different cultures, religions, philosophies, spiritual traditions, and he was trying to look for patterns. It's like, okay, so what's the common theme here in all of these? And what he found through all this research was that the struggle to find and listen to our true self and its guidance is the one universal theme of human life, contained in all the myths and legends. So, for example, the quest for the Holy Grail in the Christian tradition, or the Philosopher's Stone in alchemy. These were myths, these were symbols of a search for that self that every human being is searching for. Who am I really? Why am I really here? Right? That's the Holy Grail. It's not a cup. It's not a stone. It's something much more profound than that. It's the self that everyone is searching for. So he called this the monomyth. So this is the hero's journey that we actually all on, but some willingly accept this and they go for it and they say, okay, I'm going to really give it my all because I feel this call in my heart really strongly, and I will go usually against the grain of society and against what other people think I should be doing because they don't understand this, they don't acknowledge it, and I will go on this hero's journey, which can be quite, solitary, lonely, within the construct of society, and I will discover who I am. So what these myths and legends do is they show the heroes and heroines who choose to undertake to discover who they really are in the face of the obstacles, the trials, the temptations, the challenges presented by the ego or belief in separation and their separate self-concept that is a necessary consequence of this belief. And they go up against that and they say, no, this isn't actually true, and I'm going to find something deeper and higher about myself. And he noticed that this monomyth story always included the same common elements, um, which allowed him to formulate this archetypal hero's journey consisting of three main stages. So departure from the known world perceived through the hero's normal egoic thought system. So if you watch a movie, say The Matrix, you watch The Matrix, yeah?
Mm.
Where does it start? It starts with Neo, and he's sitting, he's asleep at his computer, and you get the sense that he does this every night, and he's searching for something. It shows him searching for this character called Morpheus, and that's the known world.
Mm.
But then something comes in immediately in that movie, and there's a call to adventure, right? He wakes up, and someone's typing on his computer, and he's like, "What's going on?" Like, follow the white rabbit. What's going on? This is very weird. And he has a knock, knock, knock. Oh, knock on the door. And literally the call. Okay. And then they say, well, come, come with us, right? Call to adventure. Follow the white rabbit. He sees the tattoo of the white rabbit on the lady's shoulder. And she says, come with us. It's like, okay, well, just got the message to follow the white rabbit. I better do that. He could have refused the call.
Mm.
And he does at some point in that movie. He says, no, no, no. Like when he's about to go out on the ledge, Morpheus says, you've got to climb over the scaffolding and escape. He says, no, 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 I can't do this. He refuses the call. Yeah.
Mm.
Then he meets his mentor. He meets him on the phone. Then he meets him in person. He meets Morpheus. Morpheus gives him the choice. Take the blue pill, take the red pill. He takes the red pill and he crosses the threshold, right? That's the classic hero's journey. See how it works. And the point is, we're all on that. This is an archetypal pattern that Joseph Campbell picked up, and that now the Hollywood script writers have gone, okay, if we script our movies according to this hero's journey, people are really interested, and we sell a lot more movie tickets, and the movie makes a lot more money. They figured that out. The first one who did that was George Lucas. If you watch the Star Wars movies, it's a hero's journey.
Mm-hmm.
And then since he cottoned onto it, I mean, that's the second most successful movie series of all time. Everyone copied and they went, wow, this really works. We need to get onto this Joseph Campbell idea. And they started studying it and reading it. And the movies significantly changed after 1949 when his book, The Hero with a Thousand Faces, was written. So there, if you want to know, you can go into Hero with a Thousand Faces. So all the links are there. Yeah. If you really want to go deep into this, you can read the book. There it is. I've given you the link.
Okay.
Read the book, and there's the seminal work that launched a movie industry, essentially. That's where it started. George Lucas was friends with Joseph Campbell. And he took his ideas and he put them into the Star Wars movies, and then other movie makers went, okay, there's something to this. We've got to learn. We've got to pay attention to this, and it established a whole new trend. Right. So back to this. So then you cross the threshold, and really, the art of letting go course is like, you showed up today. It's crossing the threshold. Okay, I'm committed, and I'm going out of the known world, the normal world, my existing self, and all my perceptions. And I'm willing to go into the unknown world. That doesn't mean a physical journey necessarily. Sometimes in these myths, they do go on physical journeys, but it's a journey into another domain of thought. It's another way of perceiving the world. another
mm,
self. And then the trials start. The second phase is initiation. It's an unknown world perceived with new spiritual awareness. This is also called the adventure. This is where tests happen, you get challenges, trials, failure, you get tests, you get allies coming along to try and help you, but you also get enemies apparently. You get approaching the inner cave, which is going into the really looking at the separate self and getting clear on the falsity of that, and that can be very painful. The ordeal is going through an experience that tests you to the absolute core, and in that process, your ego dies and you're reborn. That's what rebirth or resurrection really means. You die to the old self, you're born again. That's what being born again really means. And you seize the reward, which is your true self. You now know who you are. Whereas before you didn't. And that's the real treasure. And
mm,
then you come back into the world. That's the third act. Chance to make it right. You return to the known world, but now you know who you are. Whereas before you didn't. You know who you are. You've reached a stage of at one-ment with your source. You have the gifts of God, and those gifts you then dedicate to serving. So, well, what else is there to do but help other people go through this journey? Because I've been on this profound journey, and
mm,
I return with this elixir of life as the resurrected self, the Christ. And now my only job is to help others. And then, all these people become teachers, because what else is there to do, right? You become a mentor, a guide, a teacher, as all the great masters have. Jesus, the Buddha, Lao Tzu, Socrates, many other spiritual masters all became teachers, because what else is there to do? You've understood it yourself. Just help other people to understand, become a mentor and a guide on their journey,
mm,
and help them to go through their hero's journey, because that's all we really had to do. And this hero's journey is the journey of awakening, of enlightenment to who you really are. But framed quite nicely in this kind of cycle. And if you understand the cycle, it's very helpful, because if you are going through the trials and the failure, then you understand that it's part of the process, right? Instead of going, oh my God, my life's falling apart, you go, no, actually, this is the process of the hero's journey. This is what I need to go through. Makes it a lot easier to deal with if you understand it. Oh, I'm going through dark nights of the soul. My life's collapsing. I feel like everything's falling apart. I want to commit suicide. Oh, that's okay. I'm just going through the death of the ego and a rebirth into my true self, and that's part of the process. Okay, I can get through it then. And so on, and at every stage, particularly these difficult ones, this knowing this archetypal journey really helps.
mm,
Say, okay, it's part of a process, and the process is mapped out, and it's universal across all different cultures and traditions over thousands of years. Like, all these myths and legends describe the same process. So, yeah, I accept it. That's what we go through as human beings. If you're going to awaken, you're going to have to go on a hero's journey, and you have to go through these various stages, and you have to get through them until eventually, at the very end of it, you become the enlightened one, the one, as in the Matrix, is called the one, the Christ, the Avatar, the Buddha, whatever you want to call it. It's all the different traditions have different names, but it's the same thing. And that's what Joseph Campbell found. It's the same story over and over again. All these stories are the same story, just told in a different way, just different characters, different settings, but it's the same hero's journey of awakening to this true self, which is the same self, right? When the hero awakens, they realize, I'm the same as everyone else. I was never different. I was never actually special. I was never a separate self. I'm one with everyone. That's what's called at one-ment. I am one, and now my only job in that oneness is to help them, help others to realize that they are the same as me. That's why Jesus said, you'll do these things that I've done, and even greater things than I've done. He said that. He said, well, actually, I'm nothing special. You can do exactly what I did, and even greater things, if you tap into the same power that I've tapped into. And that power is available to everyone, not special to me. I'm not the only Christ. I'm not the only Son of God. Actually, everyone is. We're all that.
Yeah.
I am one with the Father is one with me. And he said all this, but it was misunderstood, wasn't it? People don't understand it. Even though it's said in his own words. You have to understand. So if you look a bit broader and you look at things like the hero's journey and teachings from other paths, you often get a perspective and you get clarity and becomes okay. I'm starting to get it,
Yeah.
much, much more. Here it is. Here's the pattern. And here's what you're going to go through. Everyone's got to go through it. Jesus went through it. The Buddha went through it. Every master who's ever lived went through this. So have you. Everyone's got to go through their own hero's journey. That hero's journey is going to be unique to you, but the pattern's the same. Yeah. The details, that's your journey. No one's going to do exactly that same journey ever. But the archetypal pattern of awakening to yourself is the same for everyone. So your special function or higher purpose is to go through this journey. That's why you're here. To walk the path, to go through the journey, whatever the experiences are, and awaken to yourself, to who you really are through that. That's your purpose. That's your function.
Mm.
Not anything in the world, not any achievements, anything is just part of that process. That's what you got to realize. And then it's actually really relaxing because you're like, well, all I've got to do is just keep letting go and trusting the process, and whatever happens materially doesn't really matter anyway. As you say, when you're in a box, none of it matters anyway. It was all just a temporary experience. What mattered was, did you learn who you were? Did you awaken to who you really were through your life? That's what really matters, or not. So that's where we're coming from. This art of letting go takes you, by letting go, you accelerate this journey. How do you do this journey? You let go. You keep letting go, and that takes you through the trials and the failure and crossing the threshold and the call to it. It'll take you on this path, down the curve, up the other side as quickly as you possibly can go if you just keep letting go. And if you resist and you don't let go, then you get stuck. And you just get stuck at like an unfulfilled hero's journey. Many people do. They just don't go beyond the call to adventure. Call to adventure, call, but they refuse it. And they get stuck at the refusal. Okay, well, then nothing's going to happen, is it? You just get stuck there, and then a lot of pain and suffering will happen until you're ready to let go, and then maybe you can get unstuck. But that pain and suffering can be, intense and huge if the ego is big and it just keeps resisting and refusing. And I've seen people do it. Just keep resisting, keep refusing the call to adventure, and they just won't change. And then they just get stuck in this, and they wonder why they're not happy, and they look for some kind of satisfaction and happiness in this, and they'll never find it there because it's not there. They're not that. They're not really there. That's not who they are. So how can you find happiness and true fulfillment if you believe you're something you're not? It's never going to happen, is it? So this hero's journey makes that very, very clear. So that's what we're doing in this whole course, and that gives you a nice kind of roadmap and outline. And you might not go through the whole thing in 6 weeks, but you'll go through an element of it. You go through some of it, and then after 6 weeks, you might say, "Well, I want to carry on. I haven't finished this by any means. The hero's journey continues." But let's do the first 6 weeks first. Okay, so I think any questions on this, Dawn? I'm talking a lot. Any questions or comments on the hero's journey? Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Good.
No, it makes sense.
Okay, so yeah, it makes sense. Good, excellent. So let's finish off the session with this, shall we? Invitation. So um, let's read it. So, an invitation. This is by a lady called Oriah Mountain Dreamer, who wrote this, just a bit of history on the poem. She wrote it in 1994, just when the internet was starting, after going to a dinner party. She was American, so based in the US, went to a dinner party, and she just found the level of conversation very shallow. People were talking about, how much money they made and the house they live in and car that they were driving and their careers, and it's all a bit shallow, and she was a bit disillusioned. She came home about midnight from this party feeling a bit kind of empty, and then she just felt the call to write this poem, which she did in the middle of the night. And the invitation came out as an email, and that was back in the day, 94, when email was brand new, right? This was like latest. When you got an email, it was like, wow, I got an email. Amazing. So it went viral. People got this email. They're like, wow, that's so amazing. I forwarded it on. The whole thing went viral. She became quite well known. And then people said, well, why don't you, write a book? And she wrote a book, and that kind of started her career. This one poem started her whole kind of spiritual teaching career because it went viral. Nowadays, of course, we just get thousands of emails that we just got lost. But in those days, that was like the one email people got that day, and they were like, wow, this is amazing. Okay, so the invitation. I want you again, read it and stop after every stanza and just discuss it briefly.
Okay. It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for, and if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's just saying it doesn't mean all this what you do for a living. I do, none of that really means anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
You ache for, right? So in your heart's longing. What does your heart really yearn for? That's what she's saying.
Yeah.
Go deeper. Your heart, drop into your heart chakra. That's feeling. What do you feel there? Because that's the truth.
Mm. It
And
doesn't
that's hmm?
it doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will risk looking like a fool for love, for your dream, for the adventure of being alive. Mm.
Again, so the form, how old you are, what you've done, your experience. Will you risk it all? Will you risk looking like a fool for love to pursue the purpose?
Mm.
Why you really here? And you find that you kind of have to. If you're going to do this, you're going to go against the grain often. People who are not on this journey will go, what are you doing that for? You crazy. You're a fool. You're mad. Stop dreaming. Stop, just be normal. And, that's the ego. That's the block. That doesn't want you to go and do something extraordinary and awaken and follow your hero's journey. It wants you to stay in the known world. Right. So again, she's talking about, the hero's journey here,
Yeah.
the call to adventure.
It doesn't make a difference. Was that?
No, this one. It doesn't interest me what planets are squaring the moon, which is great.
Yeah. I want to know if you have touched the center of your own sorrow, if you have been opened by life's betrayals, or have you become shriveled and closed from fear of future pain?
Further pain, yeah.
Oh, sorry, further pain.
Yeah. So can you go to the core of your sorrow? Can you be vulnerable and learn from life's betrayals? Or do you shrivel up and you close yourself off? Because I've been hurt. I don't want to be hurt again, so I close myself off. I don't learn my lessons.
Oh.
And those are the two choices.
Mm.
Because everyone's had betrayals in life. No one's had a perfectly smooth sailing. Just that's not how life works. But how do you react to those betrayals?
Okay. I want to
So then
know.
carry.
Oh, sorry. I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine or your own, without moving to hide it or fade it or fix it. You know. So.
So can you sit and face the pain instead of going, oh no no, we live in a culture. I shouldn't be in pain. Shouldn't be. No no. I'll go and get some Prozac and I'll take something to stop the pain.
Mm.
No, the whole point is you got to journey through that, right? That's your lesson.
Mm.
Don't numb it out, don't deny it, don't distract yourself. Face it and go through it.
Mm.
Not moving to hide it or fade it or fix it.
Right.
You are ultimately going to let it go. It doesn't mean you're going to sit there, sit in pain forever. So that could be misinterpreted. It means face it consciously, willingly, and then there's going to be a process of moving through it. Because if you
Mm.
do that, awareness immediately starts to let it go. If you can just be aware of it and go, this is pain, but it's not really true, it's not really me, even though I'm experiencing it, then there's a naturally a letting go that starts to happen.
Mm. I want to know, what is that? I want to know, oh, if you can be with joy, mind your own, mine, mine or your own. If you can dance with wildness and let the
Ecstasy.
ecstasy fill you to the tip of your fingers and toes, without cautioning us to be careful, to be realistic, to remember the limitations of being human. Okay.
So it's a call to joy. She's saying, can you
Enjoy it.
just let go and enjoy?
Mm.
Dance with wildness. Let the ecstasy fill you to the tips of your fingers and your toes. And this is why people actually, I mean, that the drug ecstasy does that for people, which is
Mm.
why, people get addicted to it. Because it's like, oh, okay, amazing, but it's done with a drug. And that's so there's nothing sustainable about it.
Okay.
But you can actually do it just in your own mind. You can choose to be like this. Say, yeah, I can let go of all that fear and all that, the ego saying, don't do that and be cautious, be realistic. When people say, you've got to be realistic, it's like, well, whose reality are we talking about? Is it
Mm.
really realistic, or is it just your mindset?
Mhm.
It's actually just their mindset. So what they think is realistic, but is it really realistic?
Mm.
And the heroes of this world say, no, 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 I don't believe in those realistic limitations. I'm going to transcend the limitations of being human and go into the divine self and find who I really am, which is limitless, infinite, eternal. And if I live that way, then all these limits that I thought were there just start dropping away, and I live an inspired and inspiring life.
Mhm.
Okay, so she goes on. It doesn't interest me if the story you're telling me is true.
Okay.
You want to read that?
Oh yeah, sorry. Um, so what you've just said there, I want to know if you can disappoint another to be true to yourself, if you can bear the accusation of betrayal and not betray your own soul, if you can be faithless and therefore trustworthy. Mm.
Yeah. So that's quite an interesting one. Can you disappoint another to be true to yourself? So other people might say, no, 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 you can't do that, Dawn. Don't do that. And often, they can be quite manipulative. They could say, don't do that because it hurts me, or don't do that because I don't want you to do it. You do that, then, you're betraying our relationship, whatever. Can you disappoint them to be true to yourself, your higher self?
Yeah,
Say, no, I honor that and that alone. That's the truth. And I can't let other people sabotage that.
I
And
think
they
I've
can,
got a bit of that anyway. When I'm
oh,
thinking,
sounds like you can bear the
maybe.
accusation of betrayal. Oh, you betrayed me, but not
Mm.
betray your own soul. Say,
That,
okay, I hold true to what is true, what I know to be true within
that,
me, even if people don't see that, and they're
mm,
trying to say, oh, you're not doing what you should do, and you should, behave in this way. You should comply to my wishes. This happens all the time, codependent relationships and so on. But you say,
mm,
no. Like I know my purpose. I know who I am.
Yeah.
And I have to stay true to that. This course wouldn't have happened if I hadn't been strong enough to say, okay, I'm gonna follow what I feel is right,
Yeah.
irrespective of what it says. So there's no one else really got it and no one else understood what I was doing. But something in you says I know this is correct and I've got to follow it.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
if you can be faithless and therefore trustworthy, can you be faithless to the ego and therefore trustworthy to the spirit? That's
Mhm.
what it's saying.
Yeah.
So you can't believe in both. You can't have faith in both. It's one or the other.
Mm.
If you're faithless to the ego, then you're trustworthy to spirit. And if you have faith in the ego, then you're denying the spirit and you're not trustworthy in the true sense.
Yeah. That's good.
So quite a profound poem, really. I mean, what she's saying
Yeah,
is profound.
it is. And when you, as you explain it, sometimes it is gone a lot deeper than you.
Hmm. Have you
Yeah.
read it before?
No, I'm
No.
reading it and trying to figure it out at the same time. But luckily, you're helping. um,
Hmm.
I want to know if you can see beauty, even when it is not pretty every day, and if you can source your own life from its presence. I want to know if you can live with failure, yours and mine, and still stand at the edge of the lake and shout to the silver of the full moon. Yes. Ooh, okay.
So even when life isn't always pretty, and it isn't always pretty,
Mm,
things go wrong as they do,
mhm,
can you still find that connection? Can you still find that presence with capital P, that beauty, also capitalized, because it's referring to the divine within you, self that you really are. Can you find that and still go, yes, okay, you know what? I'm still alive.
mm,
I'm still connected to my source, even though everything's falling apart maybe around me and there's all this failure and the world isn't always pretty. I'm
mm,
still connected. I still am what I am, right? So it's the I am presence. I am that I am, and nothing's really changed.
mm.
Irrespective of failure, irrespective of the ugliness of the world, I still am that. I am. And that's, as we mentioned before, the name of God, first name of God in the Bible.
I am.
Moses, God, well, so who are you? Who should I say sent me, right? To my people. And says, I am what I am, or I am that I am. It was obviously said in Hebrew.
Mm.
So that's the language he understood.
Yeah,
Or maybe
I
another language. He was also, yeah, he was also in another community. So we don't know, but it came to him, whatever language, I am that I am. And that's the simplicity of it. Yeah, you just are that. And nothing else really matters. That's the truth of who you are. God is you. You are God. You are that presence. Okay, so next doesn't interest me. Know where you live.
or how much money you have. I want to know if you can get up after the night of grief and despair, weary and bruised to the bone, and do what needs to be done to feed the children. It doesn't interest me who you know or how you can come to be here. I want to know if you will stand in the center of the fire with me and not shrink back. It
What
doesn't,
is that?
but if you'll stand in the center of the fire and not
Yeah.
shrink back, probably
Hmm.
win, or are you with us? Do you still believe? Do you still have faith? Can you still be there? Do you have
So what's the fight?
the fire?
Hmm. What she's referring to.
Mm, I'm thinking of faith and spirit and But the
Well,
thing is, I,
fire burns things up, doesn't it? It burns away impurities. So
yeah,
in chemical tradition, fire was what was needed to burn away the lead and create the gold.
yeah,
It's like in the fire, when
and
when it really gets hot. In other words, when there's adversity, when it's uncomfortable,
mm,
you stand in that fire and you don't shrink back from it. You go, okay, bring it on. These are the difficulties that are actually going to make me, not break me.
yeah,
And it's not about who you know or how you came to be here, right? That was all the false, superficial stuff that she found at that dinner party. Where you
okay,
live, how much money you have. None of that matters. She's saying it doesn't matter. Can you get real? Can you get authentic? Can you stand in the fire of transformation, not shrink back? Do you have the courage to face your demons, essentially,
mm,
and transcend? Or do you have the verse ones, do you have the courage when after a night of grief and despair, weary and bruised to the bone, you still get up and you still do what needs to be done? In this case, example, feed the children. Okay, I've got
mm,
kids. Any mother will resonate with that.
mm,
Sometimes you just like, oh God, I'm just finished, and yet I have to find the strength to carry on
mm,
because I've got these kids that are relying on me.
mm,
So it's a beautiful poem. She's just using these life examples to take us into a deeper awareness and say, it's not about all the shallow stuff
yeah,
that we think that she just encountered at that dinner party. It's
mm,
not about that. It's something much deeper,
yeah,
much more profound. And she's saying, are you up for that? Are you willing to go there? Or are you just going to stay at that shallow level your whole life and try and find satisfaction in where you live and how much money you've made and who you know and all of that stuff
mm,
will never really fulfill you. It will never make you happy. But that's how society works, and that's what we're told will work. And so everyone kind of buys that into that lie, except the heroes who say, no, that's just not true. That's a lie.
mm,
And I'm willing to stand up to that lie and stand for the truth.
yeah,
Why she wrote the poem. And these are the heroes of the world. These are the avatars, the mystics, the saints, the sages who throughout humanity's history have been there as the guiding light to say, hang on, there's another way here. Your humanity's lost in the darkness, and I've come with the light, and I'm going to show you the way out
mhm,
of that. Back to the truth, back to who you really are. That's the universal message of all of them. That's the hero's journey.
yeah.
Okay, last couple of paragraphs.
Was it? Oh, did I say that? Oh, it doesn't interest me where or what or with whom you have studied. I want to know what sustains you from the inside when all else falls away.
Right. Yeah.
Um, I want to know if you can be alone with yourself and if you truly like the company you keep in the empty moments. Hmm, okay. Yeah, it's quite.
Yeah. So again, that doesn't interest me where you've studied, all your formal qualifications.
Mm,
This would have been all the stuff she encountered at the dinner party. Oh, I live here, I've got this job, I've studied here,
mm,
blah, 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 blah. And she's just going like, get real. Let's like talk about something a bit deeper and more interesting.
mm, yeah.
Have
I'm
a real
her page
outcome.
because I'm usually saying to students, well, yeah, you do your best, and but you know what? It's a piece of paper. It's the paper that tells you. But who, is it really? It's about what you want to do. It's about your choice and your agency, and you can
Hmm.
choose.
Hmm.
So,
Who are you really? That's the question. Who are you through all of this? A
mm,
piece of paper. You are.
yeah,
No piece of paper can tell you who you are. You
Yeah,
can have the
and
greatest degree
always
and
get it.
you
I'm
know,
like, if you don't,
doctorates, and
yeah, it
you
doesn't
don't know
matter.
who you are. You lost. You're,
If you really want to do something, you do it, paper or no paper. You just
yeah,
go and do it. So
yeah.
don't worry about that. That's just barriers that they put up to stop you from doing what you want to do or making you think that way. But actually, you can do it with nothing. You can do it if you want to do it.
Yeah, and many entrepreneurs and people who've done great things, they didn't have formal education.
That's right. I was
Yeah,
just like, you're probably
reach
better
around,
without. That's just a restriction to stop you because it's got to think in this way, behave in this way. But most
yeah,
people who have done things who haven't done that knew that that would have just held them back. They'd be restricted. It's just an
yeah,
institution telling you how to behave. But really,
yeah, yeah.
you your
In
own.
fact, they've done research. The further you get into education, so if you go beyond honors, I think. So this is, the normal degree, and then you go honors, and then masters, then PhD. If you go beyond honors to masters and PhD, your creativity drops dramatically because now you're studying the existing body of knowledge in that field. And you
Mm,
stop going, hang on, but maybe it doesn't work this way. Maybe there's something else. Maybe it's not this way at all. Maybe actually this body of knowledge isn't true. And you stop questioning it. And you start learning, okay, this is the truth. And you become quite rigid in that rather than, hang on, maybe it's not true at all. So someone like Einstein, he wasn't, and he's brilliant, but he didn't have high degree of formal education. He just kind of worked this stuff out for himself. And that's exactly why he was able to come up with something entirely new. If
mm,
he'd gone and he'd done his master's and PhD and he'd learned the existing body of knowledge, he never would have, because he wouldn't have been thinking out of the box and going, hang on, well, what happens if, and he did these thought experiments where he went, well, what happens if there was an object traveling at the speed of light? How would that look? And he did a whole imagination. It was like, oh, actually, I can see that that's going to change. It's relative. Time and space are relative. And then he came up with the theory of relativity. Never would have done that if he'd just been formally educated and gone, well, I'll just go to whichever top university and I'll do my master's and my PhD and I'll end up being a lecturer in an existing body of knowledge. Never would have happened.
mm,
So over and over, it's the people who, outside of the norm, outside of they break the rules. They
mm,
go against the normal trend of society. And those are the ones who take the world forward. Those are the ones who are the awakening ones who humanity has always needed. These are the ones who show us the way out of the darkness, the prison of our own, separate minds and thoughts, and the society constructs that we've created to the light of who we really are.
mm,
Want to know if you can be alone? Love the way she ends the poem. You can be alone with yourself if you truly like the company you keep,
mm,
empty moments. And what sustains you from the inside when all else falls away,
mm.
and everything you rely on externally fails you, then what sustains you?
That's right.
Money won't sustain you.
No, nothing. You can't take it. None of that goes in the
Yes.
book.
None of that.
Doesn't
No. So
really
then
what
it's
to say.
okay. Go to the core of who you are and you find that. And that's the hero's journey. Through the adversity and the challenges, through the fire of that hero's journey, you awaken to yourself and you discover the hero. I mean, Mariah Carey, I listened to that song actually earlier today. The hero lies in you. You discover that hero in yourself.
Mm,
What sustains you when all else falls away? What sustains you beyond anything in the world? And if you find that, then you're okay. You know yourself.
mm,
And if you don't know that, then you're lost because you're relying on externals to try and help you and fix you,
that's right.
and you never find yourself there.
Mhm.
So, very, very profound poem. We could carry on, Dawn, but it's now after 11 o'clock. So,
Oh gosh.
yeah, no, it's getting quite late. So,
Mm,
you probably got work tomorrow. I've also got some stuff to do. So,
oh,
good session, good introduction. What I'd suggest is you take this manual, you read it yourself. Okay, so there's a whole table of contents. It starts with the poem, which is where I've started. Then we go into the commitments, which I've just given you.
Mm,
That's in your love and commitment letter. So you sign it. Do these little steps, sign it, print it out tomorrow, sign it,
mm,
put it up somewhere where you can read it. There's some inspirational quotes, which you can just dip into. Those are just ideas from some great teachers and thinkers
mhm.
that I've come across in my journey, and sometimes I refer to them throughout the course. Yeah, some really good quotes. So you read those, and hero's journey, and so we kind of work through that. And then as we go in the course, I'm just going to take you through the various sections. So we'll go through the entire information exercise pack, or course manuals, I call it for short, in the course of the next 6 weeks during the session. So there's live sessions every Sunday, which you're going to join. And also during the week, the material that comes, there's going to be recordings, there's going to be recorded discussions where we discuss the stuff, and you will go, if you work through the course, you'll go through this entire workbook, which is about 60 pages. And there's a lot of valuable, information. I've tried to synthesize a lot of information, a lot of different ideas and teachings into a course that makes sense, that's integral and integrous to the idea of letting go. And all of these ideas, theories, concepts, models, and processes are going to help you to let go in a
Okay.
deeper way. So yeah, we'll look at it all, but you've got it. I've sent it to you on email as well as Telegram. I'd suggest you print it out. That's a
Yeah.
good thing to do, because it becomes a working manual. So print it out, and you can actually make notes. You print it single-sided paper, then on the back side you've got notes. You
Mm,
staple it together, put it in a file, then you can make notes on it, and you can also, some people keep a journal. So you
okay.
could journal and do it in a book as well. That's up to you. So a lot of people who've got benefit out of the course do that. So they've got their course, this course manual, and then they've got their own kind of journal and
Yeah.
notes on it, which you can always refer back to. Um, yeah, so I think you've got a good outline. Read through the email. I've asked you to do various things. Just go through this and do it step by step.
Mhm.
Uh, Outline of your daily schedule. So every day you're going to get that in your email saying, okay, these are the processes for today. Download all this stuff. These are your tools. Declutter your space in the next day or two if you haven't already done it. You've already joined the Telegram group, so you're there. Did you whitelist my email address? That's something to do to make sure you get my email.
Mhm.
If it's coming into your primary inbox already, then that's okay.
Yeah.
Or you don't need to worry. If you're starting to find it, then that's a good thing to do. Just work through this next couple of days. Just go with the flow of the instructions. Whatever I say in the emails and the Telegram messages, try and apply. Try and practice and implement as best you can. Again, don't worry if you can't do all of it. Just do what you can, and go, well, that's more than I was doing before, and I'm gonna get benefit, because very few people have the time and the energy to do all of the practices. But if you can do some of them, you pick the ones that you do. So I would definitely do the meditation in the morning. This guided letting go theta meditation is key. Let's go to the
Okay.
spirit. Says do that in the morning to kick it off. Um, oh yeah. So you can do the guided letting go theta meditation, which I've sent you above. There it is. There's the link. So you can just download this. Should
Okay.
download it somewhere and just play it from your phone
Well, now, good.
or a tablet. or a computer, and get some stereo headphones. So you can listen to it with stereo headphones because it's got some binaural beats in it, which help to train your brainwave patterns. So
Oh,
just decent pair, not those little, not those little ones. Do the surrounding ones. I think I sent an example. Telegrams if you go
but
here.
oh, okay.
There's a pic I put a picture there. Those kind of ones, with
Yeah,
the
the big,
nice,
yeah.
it doesn't hurt your ears, so you can listen comfortably, and it's kind of a
Mm,
surround sound effect in the stereo, so you get the binaural beat effect. Those are pretty cheap. You can get them for 10 or 15 pounds on Amazon. It doesn't have to be fancy, but the little ear ones where you
mm.
plug them in, well, often if you listen to them for a long time, it'll hurt your ears. So don't do that.
Oh, okay.
And the Bluetooth ones, try not to do Bluetooth because then you get a frequency coming in here, which isn't good for your ears.
Oh,
So
really?
do it, yeah, Bluetooth. Apart from the fact that it can lose the signal, so it's not necessarily as reliable. It's now got, it's transmitting, right? So
Yeah,
you get a transmission coming right into your ears, right near your brain. Not a good idea. Just use the old-fashioned cord ones, because
yeah,
then the signal is transmitted via the cord. It's more reliable as well because it doesn't get broken when sometimes the Bluetooth cuts out. But also you're not getting that. You want to eliminate the electromagnetic frequencies close to your ear.
yeah. I
So
haven't
whole
using them really because I don't, but I knew there was, when it just don't feel right. So I just,
yeah.
but oh
Yeah.
yeah, those bigger ones will be better.
But my wife was listening to stuff with her earpods on Bluetooth, and then she was like, "Oh, my ears are getting really sore. I'm getting
Mm,
headaches." It's like, well, why? Because it's the frequency. It's the physical thing there, but it's also the frequency. The
mm,
Bluetooth sending a signal into your ear the whole time. Now you're listening for hours. It's not good. So she
yeah.
stopped and, went away. Yeah.
Mm,
So these are old-fashioned ones, just
yeah.
cord.
So they
And then
cut.
the signals away from the devices away. It's a long cord. You can, keep the device a couple of meters away.
Mm,
So you don't get that magnetic frequency right in your field. And listening to the meditations and breath breaks and stuff with these is going to give you a deeper experience. You're more immersed in it. And
mm.
a lot of the time I include binaural beats, which don't know if you know how that works, but you get frequencies coming into each ear. So
Oh,
it tricks your brain into a different brainwave pattern through the binaural frequencies that come in via the stereo headphones.
all
And
right.
it actually changes your brainwave state. So if you want to go to sleep, I listen to a power sleep track, which I'll send you. In
Mm,
fact, I did send it to you in the email. There it is, Power Sleep download. It's about a 40-minute track. Now,
oh,
I put that on and I
mm,
sleep with it. So I used to just do it before bed, but then I was like, well, if I just fall asleep with it, I actually sleep amazingly. So the frequency's going, I'm sleeping with my headphones on my back. Sometimes I'll wake up in the night and then my headphones will be off or whatever. It does happen. But mostly I'm sleeping with it on. And it just like 5 minutes, I'm down, sleep, 5 minutes, and the sleep is really deep. So
mm,
little things like this can make a difference. Your quality of sleep, you get to sleep more quickly and easily.
mm,
It takes me longer than about 5 minutes to go to sleep. Sleep deeply, 5, 6 hours done, wake up, and then I'll do the morning meditation using these, and then right, good to go, ready to carry on with the day. So
mm.
just about getting into a habit, getting into some, very good habits, putting these things in place, getting the tools if you need them,
Yeah,
and use the course to establish. They say after 3 weeks, you establish a habit pattern, new habits. So start getting into, better habits and doing this regularly. And then at the end of the course, you might say, well, I like this, so I'll just carry on this way, become my new kind of default,
mhm,
my new normal.
yeah,
So that's the idea of the course, to get you into a new pattern that's more helpful, more constructive, and then becomes a permanent change
yeah,
because you've established as a habit, you realize it works for you, and you do it because it works for you. All right. Anyway, I've talked enough, I think, tonight. So yeah, any final questions, comments? Is everything clear? I'm trying to,
yeah.
lay out the information as possible.
Yeah.
You're getting the emails, just look for your email every day for your practices, and yeah, join the sessions on Sundays. If you have any questions in the meantime, you feel free to text me on
Okay.
Telegram, and
All right.
otherwise I'll see you next week, Sunday,
Sounds good. Thank
same
you.
time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom.
Bye. Good night.
All right. Go well. Okay. Night for now. Bye.
Uh,
I'll end it.